What's up, everybody? Zac Graham coming to you for FTN Daily, jumping into week 3 of the NFL season and talking SuperDraft, where we're dealing with multipliers instead of your typical salary cap structure. If you haven't played on SuperDraft before, you can head over to ftndaily.com, read through our comprehensive site review, then jump over to superdraft.io and get signed up. And when you deposit, use the promo code FTN. And on any deposit of $100 or more, SuperDraft is going to give you $100 in bonus funds with only a 1x playthrough. So there's no slow drip. You can turn those bonus funds into cash fast. And let's jump into the quarterback position here for week 3. A familiar name from the week 2 video from a team that everybody was on in that Chargers-Cowboys game that was kind of a fantasy letdown last week, but I'm going right back to Justin Herbert. His multiplier's elevated at 1.25x. Last year, 2 games against Kansas City. Remember, that first one was his first ever start where he was thrust into the starting job after the Tyrod Taylor collapsed lung debacle. But still, through those 2 games against the Chiefs, division rival, 306 yards per game through the air, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception for Herbert. I think he's going to be slinging it all around the yard, so I like him at that elevated multiplier this week on SuperDraft. And this second guy here feels a little bit gross, to be honest. I don't like it, and I think it's just the name recognition. Daniel Jones, 1.55x. Again, it's kind of gross. I don't really like clicking him into my lineup, but I think it's somewhere we have to go, especially if you're running multiple lineups on SuperDraft this week. We know about the rushing upside for Daniel Jones, and we've seen it the first 2 weeks in tough matchups against the Broncos, the Washington football team. This matchup this week, much more juicy against the Atlanta Falcons. They just made Jalen Hurts look like a stud in week 1, and Tom Brady, boom, 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 5 touchdowns against this Falcons team. So at 1.55x, I like Daniel Jones, and if you just can't bring yourself to roster Danny Dimes, then at the running back position, I think you should probably go to Saquon. Saquon Barkley, 1.35x this week, has let fantasy managers, especially in the season-long realm, down over these first 2 weeks as they bring him along slowly from his injury last season. But in week 2, we saw 84% of the snaps on offense for Saquon, so I think that continues to go up. A much better matchup against the Falcons this week, who are giving up 4.9 yards per carry, and we know Saquon Barkley has that reception upside in the receiving game, so I like him at that 1.3x, and then we'll make it 3 for 3 on my guy Najee Harris, who's still at 1.4x. I know the Steelers' offensive line is below average at best, and it's a tough matchup against a pretty stout Cincinnati Bengals run defense, but this guy is out there all the time for the Steelers, and I think he gets it going this week, and I like him still, again, at that 1.4x multiplier. With how much he's on the field, it's tough for me to get away. Let's flip over to the receivers, and my first guy here, I like to pair with Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, 1.55x. I think this volume is for real. 22 targets now through 2 games, and again, that stack upside I love in GPPs to try to vault yourself to the top of the leaderboard if they can hook up for 1, maybe 2 touchdowns. And another guy here at the receiver position, an even higher multiplier, going out to Arizona, the rookie Rondale Moore. Okay, 1.85x, a good matchup against Jacksonville this week, and I'll shout out Derek Brown, FTN Zone, tweeting out this morning highlighting that Rondale Moore has been targeted on 34.8% of his routes, yet he's only 4th on the team in routes run. So I think this is a guy that the Cardinals can't afford to keep off the field. I think his multiplier is going to continue to shrink as the season goes on, so I want to get some shares, especially in multiple lineups on SuperDraft this week. We'll finish it off with the tight end position. There's only 2 guys that I'm looking to roster this week. Number 1, Darren Waller. Kind of double teamed a lot by the Steelers last week, kept his numbers down from what we had experienced certainly in week 1 with those 19 targets, but SuperDraft elevated his multiplier all the way up to 1.3x this week, and it's just not somewhere I can get away. At that multiplier, I mean, Darren Waller is just a smash play in week 3, but if you have to get away, I like TJ Hawkinson, 1.4x still on SuperDraft. He himself has 20 targets on the season, and I think the game script for Detroit a lot this year is going to be pass, pass, pass in the second half when they're usually going to be down. So at 1.4x for TJ Hawkinson, I also like getting there, especially if you're running multiple lineups on SuperDraft this week. So we saw a lot of overlay, especially in the main GPP on SuperDraft in week 2. So make sure you get in there. Check out that lobby, especially Sunday morning, for possibly some extra equity there on SuperDraft. Make sure you read, you tune in to all the free SuperDraft content we have on FTN Daily, Vlad Sedler's breakdown, Joe Metz's Fave 5, and then tune in on Sunday 11 a.m. Eastern on FTN's YouTube page and Twitter page. We're going to bring you that SuperDraft Sunday study, 30 minutes free, breaking down the slate from a SuperDraft perspective. So until then, I'm Zac Graham for FTN Daily. You can follow me at Kawaisenberg DFS on Twitter, and I'll see you on Sunday.